Welcome back. It is always a good day when I wake up, I give thanks, and I realize that today is the day that I'm allowed to introduce you to an extraordinary person with a great story. I have talked about her coming on the show for quite some time, so I'm just going to do some quick housekeeping and get right to it because I don't want to waste a moment. The next room is growing leaps and bounds. Thank you so much for everyone that is tuning into the podcast, downloading the podcast, sharing the podcast. We're now up to 9 countries and just so many great cities. So thanks so much. Also, shout out to the beautiful community on the Next Room page. You will recognize the woman's poetry once I introduce her because we do a lot of this. We share so much from loss. And then thank you, lastly, for the 5-star reviews on Amazon for the book, The Next Room. It's just such, boy, it's really a gift when someone stops, takes the time to not only read your work, but then post a thoughtful review. So speaking of thoughtful reviews, my guest today is Sunday Times, New York Times bestselling author, Donna Ashworth. Donna, woo, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, I'm so happy. It's just like I have been wanting to have you on from the very first moment I read your first poem. Now, Donna, you have so many books. I mean, you're a New York Times bestselling author and you
Actually, Sunday Times.
Sunday
Sunday
Times.
Times.
Oh,
Yeah.
there's a difference. Okay. Well,
Yeah.
soon to be. How about that?
That would be
So,
nice.
yes. Well, I wish I knew started things off for you, or at least really started people to gain the awareness of who you were. Let's talk about when you really broke out and started sharing your thoughts and what happened and how that journey brought you to love, life, and loss.
So I'd started writing poetry just before the lockdown. I started the Facebook page that you know now used to be called Ladies Pass It On. And I was looking for something to do. My husband and I worked together. We ran our own business, but I was getting a bit bored. I wanted to do something a little creative again because I used to work in magazines in my 30s. So I started what I thought would be an online magazine for women, just me, nobody else. Well, my friend Mark, who helped me with all the technical side of it. But he just did that out of the love of his, heart. And very quickly I realized that I didn't want to write articles about how to detox and, what makeup to wear. It wasn't really me, but that's what I'd done with the magazine. So I was just repeating what I knew. So I started to share other people's quotes as well. And I realized that there was a need for this. Words, people do enjoy a little, flash of something to change their thinking for the day. And I had written poetry when I was younger, and I had written songs, but never in my adulthood. So I started looking at other people's quotes and thinking, I'll write my own, because I don't know who to credit and I don't know whether I'm allowed. So I'll write my own. And that's literally how it started. And then my best friend's mum passed away very sadly, and we grew up together. So she was an extended, parent to me. And I flew up from England to Scotland because I was living in England to be with my best friend when her mum passed away in the hospice. So that started me writing grief poetry.
Mm.
And that was just before the lockdown. And I wrote one poem called When You Say Goodbye to a Parent. And that's how it began.
Wow. Boy, there's so much beauty to unpack here. First of all, I love that you just listened to your inner intuition. Here you are, you're thinking, gee, should I post other people's work? And you're like, well, I'll just do my own. And
Yeah.
so that's what you've done. Unbelievable. So you start putting your own work out there, and innocently other people are finding it, and they're finding so much solace in your words, and then they're sharing it, and then their friends of friends are sharing it, and pretty soon it's just kaboom. I mean, you went from probably a small handful of followers to where it just exponentially grew overnight. Um, did you just keep writing? I mean, it seems to me you're so prolific. It's like daily you're putting things out
Yeah,
there. And you were telling me earlier about I have your paperback of Lost from the United States, and you said that it's now in hardcover, which I will be ordering.
yeah.
But you said you have so many because what are you doing to your book, and why do you keep having so many copies sitting around?
So do you mean what, with a new book or?
Ripping the pages out. You have to tell that because
Oh, yeah. So
I think that's awesome.
um, I started just sort of
Mm,
signing a page. It started at Christmas because I had 5 Christmas trees in my house because I'm just Christmas crazy. And I realized if I put the page in front of the Christmas tree, it lit it up and you could take a really beautiful, it's just one of those things. And I thought, I'm going to put my name on it and the name of the book so that, because your name's not on a page from a book, it would
right.
be to name every page. So yeah, so all my books are ripped apart, but for the best reasons, to be shared.
Oh, I
But
love that.
I'm surrounded by pages everywhere. I've
I
got a
love it.
set in my office and a set in my bedroom because I'm always doing a lot of writing in my bedroom as well and posting from there. So I've always got to have a page handy.
That's wonderful. Now, have you read all of these? Are they all in audio form with your beautiful voice?
Thank you. Yes, I've recorded Life, Love and Loss together in one
Good.
file, and that's available on audiobook. I don't really, I keep forgetting to tell everybody that it's there, and I think that deep down it's because I don't particularly enjoy the sound of my own voice.
Oh, goodness. Oh, I'm an old radio gal. I've been
Yes,
doing it
you're
for
used
40
to it.
years, but I'm here to tell you right now, there is nothing more meaningful than actually hearing the author themselves read their own
Yeah,
work. I'm telling you right now, Audible is the best. I mean, because
yeah.
you get these little things too, where you get free, like once a month, you get a free one. So
Yes,
anyone that's listening
you
to
can get it for
me,
free.
your cadence and everything about your voice is just beautiful. So to hear
Very
you actually read your own work, because then we know your heart and we're
yeah,
hearing the words the way
how
that
they were
you
meant. Yeah,
write. Absolutely. So I'm so happy to be able to do that. And just an FYI, during this, on my show page on the podcast, there will be hyperlinks to everything. I will make sure that there's an Audible link and a link to each one of your books. Um, let's go
thank
back
you.
to the pandemic for a minute, because you also wrote history will remember when the world stopped.
Yeah.
Wow. Was that right at the
that
height
was
of
the
it?
that was the start of the books, because
Okay.
what happened was, so I tend to wake up in the morning very, very, yeah, this is just what I've always done, and there's something there waiting to be written. It's just the way that I wake up. I think I write it at night when I'm asleep.
Mm,
And so every morning in the pandemic I took to writing something for that day, to just, it gave me purpose. Everybody knew to come and check. There would be some sort of words of comfort there for that day. And so history will remember was just another morning poem, and it was slightly different, because I don't sort of think about whether my poem's going to rhyme or what it's going to look like, what kind of a poem it's going to be. It just, it, what it is what it is, and I don't put any thought to it other than how it appears in my brain at that moment. So I put it out, thought nothing of it, and then it went really quite far. But it was about a week later that it really sort of went viral on Twitter, and it was in America that it really hit.
mm,
The mayor of Chicago, I remember, all the sort of medical centres started to record the poem a line each,
mm,
which then started a trend. So the doctors in the UK did it. And one day I opened my phone, and I'm not sure how famous he is in America, but a very well-known British actor called Michael Sheen
mm-hmm.
was reading the first line of my poem, and then it went through sort of 12 other celebrities had taken a
Wow.
line. And I didn't know this was happening. Nobody asked me. I certainly didn't mind.
Yeah.
I dropped my phone. I just thought, what? And that was the moment where I thought, okay, I'm going to put all these pandemic poems into a little book. I'm going to do it myself because I had written to publishers and nobody replied except to say, no, thanks, not for us. Um, so I published a little book very quickly. It took me a month, and I wanted to get it out straight away. The lockdown had been 3 months, and I thought in 6 months, nobody will care about the lockdown. It'll be a distant memory. How little we knew. So I
Right.
rushed this book out July 2020. And so there was a little sort of pandemic memory you could put in a memory box, and just remember what it was like. It was so bizarre.
Yeah.
And that's how the book started.
Wow. It's so interesting because it really was. I mean, the world stopped.
Yeah,
But then I think back about how simple it was, and it removed a lot of our, I don't know, that busy brain where we had to kind of focus on what is important, family, friends, sitting down at the table,
yeah.
um, not,
A really
yeah,
huge social exercise, wasn't it? And I
yes,
think we're not anywhere near done learning the lessons that
no,
have have come out of it. In 20 years' time will
yes,
be the time when we look back and see
yeah,
exactly how it affected that, this generation, all
yeah.
generations that went through it. But I just remember thinking, I asked my followers, if I do a book, will you buy it? And my followers are they're just amazing. They're
You're the
just
best.
so encouraging and respectful to one another and helpful. And they said, yeah, of course we will. And do you know what they did?
Mm,
And as soon as, I realized that they were actually buying, it's not a nice book. I did it myself. I didn't have a clue what I was doing. It's really shoddy. The text is nice, but the
right.
physical book, it's not pleasant for me as a book lover. But they wanted the words inside, and that's what gave me the confidence to go, you genuinely are behind me. I'm going to do this. So that's when I made To the Woman, which was really the collection of all the things I had written not to do with the pandemic. Um, because I'm very passionate about women and the way that they support
Right.
one another. And, sometimes think that I shouldn't single out women in this day and age of, equality, but I can't help it. I love the way that women interact with one another. I love the way we're connected and yet so different. I love the way we just know. You can't explain that to someone who doesn't. So that was when To the Woman came out, which is my self-published book. It still sells thousands of copies every month. And it's still chugging away on Amazon. And I'm just so incredibly grateful and delighted by how everything has snowballed.
Mm. What a story. What a story of you believing in you and then having all these wonderful women
Yeah,
bolster you and say, yes, of course, we're behind you. We will purchase your book. We will
yeah,
share your reading because that's exactly how I found you. I mean,
yeah,
you just started popping up in my feed and I started reading your words and I'm like, oh my gosh, this woman is resonating with me. And so
yeah,
then I start sharing your stuff. And then I introduced, I'm like, Jan, you need to know Jan from Grief Speaks Out. I'm like, you need to know Donna Ashworth. She's amazing. And Jan's story is similar, where she just started parking her grief, had a couple hundred people, and now she has over 2.5 million. I mean,
yeah.
it's because it's authentic. And that's what I get with you. I get authentic, I get comfort, I get hope and healing. Um, I don't want to put you on the spot, but boy, would I love you to maybe read from Lost just for us so that we can hear when we purchase your Audible book what it's going to sound like. Um, I love, like, you have these little breaks before the poems. It's like, I've not learned to live without you. Perhaps I never will. The truth of the matter is, you are always with me still. Just those words alone are just so, they're warm, they're comforting. So, would you read for us?
I will. Thank you very much for asking. I don't know why, but I think I'm going to read If I Ever Have to Leave.
Please do.
If I ever have to leave you, love, Please know I didn't choose it. You were my every waking thought, my world. I wouldn't lose it. If I ever have to leave you, love, don't think I didn't fight it. If I had any choice at all, we would never be divided. If I ever have to leave you, love, I truly rue the day. I always thought I'd be with you, beside you, come what may. If I ever have to leave you, love, please know I'm always there, and somehow I will find a way to show you how I care. If I ever have to leave you, love, the one thing you must know is that you meant the world to me and I didn't want to go. If I ever have to leave you, love, you'll always have my heart. Never fear, my soul is near, even when apart. If I ever have to leave you, love, try to hear my laughter and see my smile once in a while. Let me live with you hereafter.
Oof, makes me want to cry.
I normally cry when I read that one because I
Oh,
wrote that quite a while ago, actually. I wrote that when my boys were smaller. And I struggled terribly with that surge of hormones that makes you realize how terrifying the world is, and you know how precious your children are. I really look back now and I think I struggled too much with that.
mm,
um, I was terrified something would happen to me or them, you know, and we would be taken away from one another, because the love bowled me over. I was not prepared for how I would feel about my my children. So yeah, I normally do have a wee cry when I read that one, but I was good today. I didn't.
it was beautiful. See,
Oh,
and
thank
that's what you'll get when you download the Audible versions of Love and Loss and Life. That's
you.
the
Life.
other one. Yes. Kindle versions too. You can get them everywhere. And I love that you put them on. They seem to go on sale quite regularly, and you're always like encouraging people when
Yeah,
they can save $1, which is
yeah.
really nice. I
It's
love that.
important to me. I want them to go on sale. I request the sales because, especially, I brought three books out together, you know,
Yeah,
and we're in a cost of living crisis here. And everybody, you know, any sort of deal that you can get and help. And, you know, a lot of people, bless them, will message me and say, where can I buy the book? Then you'll get more money out of it.
right.
And literally, I would not even begin to think about that, because with every sort of 100 books that sells, you get such a wave of energy that comes from that, you know, and that has such power that, you know, my book went on sale for an hour one day. It was £1.90 for a hardback. It didn't last long, but it was there. And I just think, great, you
Yeah,
know, what would I get out of that book? A penny perhaps,
right.
but what I actually get out of it is so much more, because it's like a flush of energy coming back to your words. So I love when they go on sale. I get really excited.
Well, you're reaching more people too, you know, and
It's all good.
right.
It all comes back.
Right. Well, and that's what really comes through and resonates is you are really the real deal. Like you are
Oh,
doing what you love, which is
yeah.
writing these beautiful words of comfort. And it's so apparent just watching your videos and reading about you. Um, what are some of your favorite things? I want to kind of get beyond the author, Donna Ashworth, and poet. You're a mom.
I'm a
Um,
mom.
yeah, just tell us, if you don't mind, just a couple cool little personal things, would you? Like things that you just really love.
Well, I used to be a singer. So for the
Ah,
first sort of 5, 6 years of my adult life, I was a cabaret singer. And I
wow,
sung on the cruise ships, and I sung in duos and bands and shows, and then I wrote my own album.
you
And
did.
so
Wow.
that, you know, I can sort of put the poetry back to the songwriting, because for me, the song writing, the lyrics were important. That's what was important. But this was before the internet, so you had to get a record deal. You had, you know, it was a tough, tough game. And I was signed, and they moved me from Scotland to Manchester. And it was a really awful time of my life, because they just sort of dangled me around. Nothing happened. You know, it was really frustrating and unfulfilling. And in the end, I just decided that, you know, singing is not for me.
Hmm.
And I never sung since. I never sung since until Elsa Let It Go, the movie. And at the
Mm,
time, my husband and I had a children's play centre. In Britain, we have these big play areas with ball pools because it rains all the time.
sure.
Uh, and we owned one of those together. That's what we did. And my husband said to me, everybody started texting me. At the time, my hair was very white. And they said, because you look like Elsa. You really remind me of Elsa. So it became such a joke that we decided I would dress up and be Elsa.
Oh, that's
So
great.
I ended up doing it for 2 years. Every
Oh my God.
weekend, I was exhausted
Oh my
because I could
gosh.
sing the song. You see, I could sing the Let It Go.
Hmm.
Well, I could try, and so yeah, there's. I used to be Queen Elsa.
I love that. That's a great story. And you love being a mom.
I love being a mum.
Of
It's just,
course.
I mean, what's not to love?
Exactly.
It's hard work, and you never know if you're doing it right, but there's not a day goes by where I just don't look. I've got two boys. They're 14 and 10, and
Mm.
they just, well, I don't even have the words for it. They just fill me
Yeah.
up.
Boys are really something else. My
Yeah,
son is 26 now, and
yeah.
he just came over for dinner last week. And I'm telling you, it just gets better and better, from the skin knees to the tears when they fall down when they're little, to then becoming these gentle, wonderful men. It's really beautiful. So you have a lot to look forward to with your two boys. Do
Do
they?
my eldest,
Yeah,
sorry,
go ahead.
my my eldest is autistic, so we've had quite a pressurized last sort of 3 years. The pandemic
Right.
had a huge impact on him. He was just diagnosed prior to the pandemic.
Mm,
Then everything hit. And that was when we decided that, okay, we need to change everything now. So that's what brought me home to Scotland, was his diagnosis and the pandemic and the sort of collision of that. So we've had a really challenging few years whilst we tried him in new schools and tried to find what he needed. But I think we've really, we're really settled now, and everything has really sort of calmed, and he's accepted it, and he's just starting to flourish again.
mm.
He went for a while in the lockdown, and it was tough. I'm sure, I know it happened to a lot of teenagers and kids. They lost a lot of themselves, and it hit hard. So yeah, but now we live at home near family, and it's just best thing that we did. Life is slower.
Good. Oh, I love that. Well, good. And again, as a mom, it just seems like you just put your children first. I know we're supposed to take care of ourselves first, but there is that thing that you can't help yourself. It's like
Yeah, you
you
can't.
no, you brought these souls on the planet, and it's a lifetime commitment of just taking care of them. So good for you. I'm glad he's thriving now. That's
Yes,
wonderful.
it is. Yeah.
Would you like to read another piece? We're almost to the end of the show. I
Oh, are
told
we?
you
Gosh,
I
that went
told you this would
really
go
quick.
fast. I just let me
Yeah.
tell everyone again, just so that you know, there will be links to all of Donna's books. We'll have I Wish I Knew. We'll have To the Women. We'll have Love, Loss, Life. Also, History Will Remember When the World Stopped. And you have journals too. You have like adjacent journals to some of the books.
No, I don't, and
I
that's a
thought you
really
did.
no, and they are fake. It's
Oh,
really worth pointing out. What happens is, on Amazon, a lot of companies see a book doing well,
oh,
take the cover, and they just put blank pages inside. And
oh, I'll be darn. Oh,
whenever we
I'm
see them, we get them removed. But
okay. That's good. I'm glad you told me that, because
yeah,
we can
no
get the word out
journals.
there. Yeah, that's terrible. You know what, though? That is a sign of success when somebody tries to mimic or steal your
Yeah,
work, even though it's a pain in the butt.
I
Um,
know.
just know that it just means that you are someone that needs to be, that everybody's trying to copy you. So, okay. Note to all the listeners out there, do
No
not,
journals.
no journals, no, unless they come officially from Donna.
I
Okay.
probably will make some.
Okay, great. Would you like to read us another piece, or is there something that we haven't touched on that you'd like to share? Like, what is next? It sounds to me that you write daily. So,
And this week, prolifically. I've not been able to stop this week.
Hmm.
Um, it has been, yeah, I've just not been able to stop. So I've finished my next book, but
Wow.
it won't be out until October. Just these are the lead times with
Okay.
publishing houses. So I'm looking forward to that. I hope it will be my best one yet. And I've written some new grief pieces for that book as well,
Wonderful.
which I'm really delighted with, actually, because sometimes I think, have I done it all? Is there anything more to say on it? But there's just so much more.
That's great. Can you tell us where you're headed with the book that'll come out in October, the new book?
Yeah, it's a collection like I Wish I Knew,
Mm-hmm.
but I Wish I Knew was aimed at everyone. So I took all references to sort of being a parent or marriage, or no gender mention in that book. I wanted the younger generation to be able to pick it up and not feel it's not for me. So that
Ah.
was really important, because when I was 18, I struggled really badly, and that's the book I wanted. So this one is a collection like that, but it's very much referencing midlife and looking back, and the different phases that women face in parenting, and looking after your parents, and all of the things that it's just a collection of everything that I've learned and experienced so far. So it covers a lot of topics, a lot. Body image is still a big one of mine, and grief, and just getting through the days,
Right.
finding ways to change your perspective to make everything easier. If you're a highly anxious person like I have been my whole life, you look for ways to make everything softer. And that's what it is. It's just comfort and hope on many topics.
Mm. Comfort and hope. And on that note, Donna's going to read a final piece that's going to end this podcast for today. Donna Ashworth, my guest, I cannot thank you enough. I know that you're a busy woman and you're, not only
Thank
raising.
you for getting up early.
Yes. Oh my goodness. I wouldn't have missed this. I would have gotten up 4 hours ago. So thank you for being here. So just go ahead and read us a piece, and I thank you, and I will send you everything when this show does air, because it'll air in a few weeks.
Okay, fabulous. This one is called Was Once Love. I could tell you to remember that grief was once love, and that if you stare at it long enough, you will see that it is love still. I could tell you that, and I know you would perhaps find some comfort there. But maybe what you really need to hear is that grief is awful and it hurts. And regardless of the love it was born of, you would wish it away every minute of every day. It's okay if you're not winning the battle over the pain, my friend. It's not your burden to fight it every day. But you do deserve to feel peace again. And you do deserve to be free of the suffocating misery. So give today to the grief. But tomorrow, maybe, you can look for the love once more.
Thank you. Thank you
Thank
so
you for
much.
having me. It's been lovely. It's been
Absolutely wonderful. You're the
half
best.
a moment.
I will
Thank
see
you.
you again soon. Thanks, Donna.
Thanks
Bye
very
now.
much. Bye-bye.